Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Mike Steinman. You might know me from the TCG. I played that game for many years. I was very involved in online discussion. I wrote some articles and stuff, but I was never really a person to make YouTube videos. But I wanted to make this video. I thought it was important because I'm very into the game of speed dueling. I think it has a lot of potential. I think a lot of people are glossing over it, saying that it's a very simple game, the card pool is small, and the game's already solved because of that. But I think it's a lot more complicated than that. I think that with the release of the new box, Arena of Lost Souls, I think it's called, there's a lot of new kind of strategies you can take with the game, and I think it has a lot of potential. And I wanted to make a video because I was going through the internet trying to find like forums or anything like that to talk about the game, and there's not really anything there. There are a couple Facebook groups, but they don't see much activity. Reddit, but I mean, it's Reddit, so it's going to be mixed results from that. A lot of the content I found was on YouTube, so I thought I would start here by making my own video and getting my opinions out, because I have found that my opinions are differing from a lot of the people that do post videos, and a lot of the more competitive videos of people that are trying to be competitive in this game. I have very differing opinions on deck building, theories, and just, I guess, power levels of the decks too. So with that being said, I guess I just want to take this video to talk about the game. No decks in particular, just all the decks, metagame, and my thoughts on it. So I guess the best place to start is with this deck, the Blue Eyes Dragon Color OTK deck, or just get a bunch of beaters out and set Champion's Vigilance. And while I do think this is an amazing skill, and I think Champion's Vigilance is an amazing card, I think people are kind of blowing it out of proportion. I don't think the deck is really like tier 0 or way too powerful for the game. A lot of people think that Konami wasn't thinking when they put the skill in the card in the game, but I fully disagree with that. They released another deck that seems like a hard counter to it, which is called the Amazon deck. So I don't really see people's problem with the Blue Eyes deck. It is, when you look at it on the surface, it seems kind of nuts that in a game where you start with 4 cards, 4,000 life points, you can just drop Blue Eyes, set Solemn Judgment, and then win the game. But in all reality, when you actually play the deck, it's not that consistent. It goes off more than it doesn't go off, but still, there are games where you don't go off, and like, what do you do in those games? And even when you do go off, if you're playing up against Amazons and they're prepared for you, you just lose to Amazon as Swordswoman. So there's not much you can do. And then it gets even worse post-board because you're dealing with cards like Life Force Sword, which I guess doesn't see a lot of play. I don't know why. It's a card where when they reveal Flute or Summon Lord of D and add Flute, you can play Life Force Sword and just disrupt the entire combo. It's a card that I used in Duel Links. It's at 1 in that game, not because limited, but because it's a level up reward, so you can only get 1. But I used that in the Cyber Angel format, and it was absolutely busted. It pretty much was like a mind crush. And if you've ever played Duel Links, the games don't go very long, just like speed duels. So even if you're just forced to use it just to simplify the game, it's a really good card. They usually never see their card back, and as soon as you're up in advantage and field presence and you just flip Life Force Swords, you just win the game basically. So I think that's an underrated card that's really good against Blue Eyes, and even in game 1's pre-board, I don't think it's the best deck. So after that, I want to talk about Relinquished, which is seeing a lot more play now with the new box set because we got Sphere Karibo. I do think it's a good deck. It's probably the weakest of the top 4 decks in my opinion, because it's a hard once per turn. If it wasn't once per turn, it would be kind of nuts because you could summon Relinquished, and then you could destroy your back row with, let's say, like a Harpy's Hunting Ground or something, take another monster, and then try to OTK with the Relinquished and the Harpy, or just board wipe, get massive advantage off it. But since it is once per turn, it's kind of weak. It also targets, so if your opponent goes first with a Blue Eyes deck and summons Lord of D and summons Blue Eyes, another dragon, it's not like you can summon your Relinquish and take it. So you're gonna have to summon Harpy Lady, Senju, and try to get over the Lord of D. And granted, they probably don't run a lot of, stall or back or monster removal. So the attack is gonna go through, but you're gonna have to have your own Windstorm or Kunai Chain or something like that, or else you're not gonna survive the turn, because you're just attacking over a Lord of D. You're not dealing with the two big threats, and then you can summon your Relinquish on the next turn. But that just seems really slow to me. So I don't think it's the best deck. I know Sphere Freebo is an amazing card in Duel Links, and this game is kind of like Duel Links, but I don't think it's a good deck. So the next deck I want to talk about is Pure Amazonas, and I can see a lot of merit behind this deck. Being able to tutor out Swordswoman is essentially, well, I think the best deck in the game is Amazonas Harpies, but I don't like a big Harpy engine. I just like playing pure Amazonas with like maybe 1 or 2 Harpies. That way, I know you're not getting the draw effect, the first draw effect of Tribal Synergy off a lot, but it means that you're just playing pure Amazonas, and any turn where you draw a Harpy card, you just summon it to the field, and then you get to activate the skill to draw 2 cards, and that's 2 Pot of Greeds. That's amazing, and you don't have to commit too many of your slots to Harpy cards. So I think that is the way to go. So I guess I kind of group this deck together, I guess. So yeah, Tribal Synergy Amazonas, I think is the best deck of the format. It seems like a hard counter to Blue Eyes, and I feel like Konami made that kind of distinction when they brought the decks out, when they released everything, where they had this powerful Blue Eyes deck, but they also had a kind of control-y, grindy Amazon deck that has a win condition in this card. Obviously, if you played the format, you know what card I'm getting. Amazonas Swordswoman. This card is amazing. Slamming into Blue Eyes is 1500 damage, which is almost half of their life points. And it's so easy to get. You have 3 Swordswoman and you have 3 Village to tutor out Swordswoman. And if you open Swordswoman and Village, then that's already 2 Swordswoman. And there's not much they can really do about it. There's no monster removal, which is what makes the Blue Eyes deck so good in the first place, because you can't get rid of the Blue Eyes cards. But it's a double-edged sword because they can't get rid of Swordswoman. So that's amazing. So like I said, you have 3 Swordswoman, 3 Village to get to it. And when you do see Swordswoman, you have this card, which is from the new set, Half Shut. And it's just incredible. When you have Swordswoman and Half Shut and they attack with the Blue Eyes, you play this on your Swordswoman, they take 2250 damage, and your Swordswoman lives. So then next turn you can just slam it into the Blue Eyes, and they take another 1500, and that would leave them at, I think it's 250 or 350, which means any other monster in your entire deck swinging over their Lord of D is game. So if you open Half Shut and Swordswoman, that's pretty much game against Blue Eyes, and that's why I don't know how people can play the Blue Eyes deck, because that's just so easy. There's 3 Swordswoman, 3 Village, 3 Half Shuts, and now the Call the Haunted skill, which I don't have. It's even easier for Amazons to kill Blue Eyes because you can basically open with another Swordswoman. So I do think this is the best deck. It's just insane. Another card that helps out of the new set is this card, Amazon Spy. And this card actually lets you use both effects of Tribal Synergy on the first turn, because let's say you open a Harpy, an Amazon, and Spy. You reveal these 2 to draw 2 cards, and then you reveal the Swordswoman to special summon the Spy, and then you summon the Harpy and draw 2 cards. And that's pretty much going to give you a full back row. It's going to give you 2 monsters, full back row, and you're going to pretty much win any game from there on out. Whether it's Blue Eyes through Amazon Swordswoman or the mirror match, because a lot of the mirror matches are playing skills like Millennium Eye, Mind Scan, Destiny Draw, and that just doesn't compare to resolving 3 Pot of Greeds. So yeah, I do think that Amazon Harpy is the best deck. I don't think a full mesh of the decks is very good, because I don't think Egotist and Sisters and all those cards are very good. But I do think that Amazon is just way too powerful in this format. And most people have the opinion that Blue Eyes is the most powerful deck. And technically that is true. Blue Eyes is the most powerful deck. But I don't think it consistently beats Amazon, especially since it's not very consistent. And when I say very consistent, it's more consistent than it isn't consistent, but it's not like 80-90% consistent. I think it does have to run a lot of cards like Wild Tornado, Windstorm of Itaqua, even Twister, just to get around Village and Call the Haunted and stuff like that. And before Call the Haunted was a skill, they could use a lot more Windstorms and Stall cards, so it did make it more consistent, but now that it has to play those cards, it's not very good. So yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts on the deck. If you guys want to see my Amazon Harpy deck, I guess I can post a video of that. But for now, I just want to get my opinion out there. I just see a lot of people overhyping the Blue Eyes deck and saying that it's ruining Duel Links when I don't even think it's the best deck. But yeah, I just want to get some discussion going, so leave any comments below. When I played Yu-Gi-Oh! The TCG, there was a forum called Duelist Grounds, so I could go there for discussion, but there doesn't really seem to be that for Duel Links, or for speed dueling, unless I'm missing it. So if you want to talk about the game, just comment below, subscribe, and I would love to talk to you about it. Until then, see ya.